Hey everyone, welcome back to Comic Book Corner, and it is me, Mike Spider Slayer. Guys, bear with me, I have a really bad cold. I got some coughs and sniffles, and my voice doesn't sound right, so I may sound a little funny, and so just bear with me here. But I want to welcome you guys to celebrating 50 years of Spidey Episode 1. On these episodes, I'm going to be reliving a little bit of Spidey's history and just keeping Peter Parker Spider-Man alive, because a lot of us readers out there have been traumatized or just do not agree with what has happened in Amazing Spider-Man issue 700. So before I actually get started, I just wanted to say some final thoughts about issue 700, and I'm sure me and the other reviewers on the panel on Dark Avenger Inc. will talk about this as well on Tuesday. But my opinion is, and now that I've had time to digest the issue really and hear everyone's thoughts and comments out there, there's opinions from all abroad, and every opinion is I'm sure greatly appreciated out there, but we just got to remember that nothing is set in permanent stone in the comic book world. There's characters that come back alive all the time. Excuse me. All the time characters come back alive. We've seen it millions of times. Peter Parker makes no exception. He's been cloned. He's supposedly died before and come back. He's died just recently here, and if you read the issue, you can see that it leaves it open somehow for Spider-Man or for Peter Parker to come back. He told Carly the secret. Carly could believe him. They could dig up the old octopus body, tap into the brain, somehow get the emotions out. They can play all kinds of other things. They can get the emotions out and put it into another clone. It will be a Peter Parker clone that we didn't know about, or whatever. The possibilities are endless. Slott did leave it wide open because of brain swapping and emotions, and you can see that if you read in Spider-Man or Avenging Spider-Man 15.1, you can see that the natural instincts of Peter Parker's brain kind of overshadow Dr. Octopus's. And how do we know that Peter Parker's conscience is still somewhere in there and then it eventually takes over completely? We don't know what's going to happen. We just know that a lot of us are upset, and for me personally, I was upset when I found out that Spider-Man was ending to begin with, okay? And once I got over it, I was very open-minded to this story. And so for me, I enjoyed this story. And I'm optimistic about what's going to happen to Peter in the future. I see people leaving messages that they're cursing, that Marvel screwed it up, that Dan Slott's an idiot, and all kinds of other stuff. And you know what? It's not Dan Slott's fault. Who knows? I mean, Marvel's been pushing this Marvel Now thing. They just said, here, we're going to kill off Spider-Man. You got to create something to do with it. If anything, you got to give Dan Slott credit. He's the one that had the balls to actually go through with it and said, you know what? I am going to do it. There's a lot of writers out there that probably would not be on the table to go out and do this kind of thing. So give the man credit, cut him some slack. Give him a chance in Superior Spider-Man. I think personally, as a writer for this series, he was a lot better when he started big time than in all the other Spider-Man issues that were A Moment in Time and all those other stories. Those stories were so dark and so gloomy. The art was horrible. And this, he kind of brought the character back to life. And yes, for what reason? To kill him off? Maybe so. But he had the balls to do it, and at least somewhat he left it open to possibly bring the character back to life. So instead of being angry, instead of being upset, let's celebrate the 700 issues that Amazing Spider-Man has brought to us. Let's remember Peter Parker for what he was. And let's hope that one day, yes, he does make a full recovery, and a return. So that's all I have to say about that. We'll talk more about it on Tuesday. You guys continue to leave your comments below. I'm interested to see what you have to say. And with that being said, let's get started on just enjoying Peter Parker. And you know what? There's a lot of us out there that don't have all 700 of these issues. So if you still want your Amazing Spider-Man fix, go out there and buy them. They're out there, and there's some cheap ones out there. Enjoy your stories of the past. They'll always be there, and Spider-Man will always be in the Marvel Universe. So with that being said, again, let's get started, shall we? Here we go. Celebrating 50 years of Spidey, based off of the Chronicle of Spider-Man right here. So that's what we're going to do. Every couple days or every week or whatever I have time to post this, I will share it with you. I just wanted to share this picture though. That's just a pretty nice picture. I always like this. Black Cat and Peter kissing. That was around issue 601, if I remember right, 602, around there. So, going back into Spider-Man's history, there were some cool things that when I was reading this book and going through this book, Spider-Man was introduced into the 1960s. We all know that. We all know that his first appearance was Amazing Fantasy, issue number 15. So we all know that this was his first appearance. So we're all familiar with that right there, okay? But some of the cool things that you may not have realized, that there was a lot of characters that were in Spider-Man's history that were set in the stepping stones for Spider-Man. I did not know this, and I'm interested to see who does know about this. And it started in Tales of Suspense, Journey into Mystery, and in those comics like that. So in the Tales of Suspense, issue number 7, we were introduced to the Molten Man. So there he is right there. So that was pretty cool. And he was like this big, gigantic looking like creature. They were all following like the days of King Kong. So it's pretty interesting. Next we have, from the Tales of Suspense issue 13, we have Electro. He held the world in his iron grip. So here is your original concept of Electro. So here we can see all of those characters from the early 60s. Next we have the Sandman, Journey into Mystery, issue number 70. This was made in July of 1961. And here we can see the Sandman for the first time. Right there. So really interesting stuff here. And next we see, made in 1961, Journey into Mystery number 73, we have The Spider Strikes. And this may be your first incarnations of Amazing Spider-Man or Spider-Man. And it says, "Where will you be when the spider strikes?" And there he is right there. And this is him here. And what this story was about was that the story is about a spider who was irradiated. So I'm going to read it to you, a little bit of it real quick. It says, "The concept of the man spider crawled onto the pages of the anthology titled Journey into Mystery, but ultimately failed to catch on in a 7th-page tale entitled Where Will You Be When the Spider Strikes? A common household spider was exposed to radioactive rays, granting him increased size and intelligence of a human, able to project webbing from his body and even speak. This monster seemed to have plenty in common with the true Spider-Man, who would debut less than a year later in Amazing Spider-Man, or Amazing Fantasy number 15 in August of 1962. However, unlike Peter Parker, this man spider wasn't meant for longevity and was simply on the monster flavor of the month, destined to retreat back into comic book obscurity after his death on the stories of the final page. So, these are some of the things, or some of the stepping stones that was in store for Spider-Man to come above. So this took place in the 1960 and 1961, before Spider-Man actually started. So guys, there is your Spider-Man history of the day. Hopefully you get that, and hopefully you enjoy that. And as we go on, we can stay tuned from episode 2, and we're going to start actually going through some of the Amazing Spider-Man comics and relive some of that history. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this first episode of celebrating 50 years of Spidey, and leave your comments below on what you think of this idea. And guys, as always, thank you for watching Comic Book Corner, and this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. See you soon, everyone. Take care. Bye.